Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lagos Angel Network Launch and Learn for the month of August. My name is Solomon, and I'll be your host for the program for today. Thank you all for joining me or joining us because it's a large house in the studio today. Um, we have founders and we have our guests in the house already. Um, we're live on LinkedIn and on YouTube and everywhere else that this could be streamed from. Today, we're having a very robust conversation around mentorship as a lever for portfolio management in angel investing. And we have gone far and wide and brought a special guest who has the know how, really, and immense capacity to um, provide perspective and insights to this. We'd like to thank all the angels watching this from across the world. Um, I can see a few faces and a few messages already dropping in. Thank you all for joining us. Sorry that we're a bit behind schedule, some technical issues, but here we're here. So today, I'd like to quickly welcome our guest. Um, Jane Oma, you may have seen our face on our socials, but not many people know that Jane blends entrepreneurship, education, and social impact in one robust profile and provides mentorship, leadership, and insights as she leads the team at Global Mentor Bridge, a, an accomplished management consultant of global repute. Jane is a woman of many parts, and we are privileged to have her join us today on Lunch and Learn talking about mentorship. Ladies and gentlemen, Jane Oma. Thank you so much, Jane, for joining us. How are you this morning or afternoon? I don't know what time it is at yours.
I'm all well. I'm really well. Thank you so much for asking. I'm doing great, and thank you for that welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Jane. So, because we're behind schedule and I'm not going to fool around in my usual way, um, talk to me about mentorship and why is mentorship important? Why have you devoted a large part of your working career and even life in general to mentorship?
First of all, thank you to you, Dr. King, but also to the Lagos Angel Network um, platform for the invitation and to share. For me, any opportunity to share about mentorship is an opportunity to learn. It's also an opportunity to connect, because over the past, let's say, 11 years, actually, it's been, I have been actively involved in mentorship, both from the organizational perspective, but also from the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And a good chunk of my work has is directly connected to mentoring startup founders. Um, I'm a subject of mentorship. This is maybe the first place to start. I've benefited from mentorship right from very early on in life, in understanding that sometimes you have someone around you who is able to see further than you can see yourself, and then you can see the path in front of you and the options that are available. Now, when this someone is willing and have the capacity to then, hold your hand to understand, define, and then refine your journey and your process, the outcome really is success in a different way. So there are different forms of success, right? And everybody defines success in their own terms. But what I found over these years of actively being a mentor, and then relating that to my own mentoring experience as a mentee, is really that the relationship builds on what you already have, whether you see them or you don't see them. And then someone believes in you boldly enough to say, let's make this happen, or to help you see yourself better. So you just find that your journey is a little bit faster. You get to the destination just a little bit easier. It's never easy, but there's some kind of relief and help and support, and guidance that then also allows you to avoid previous mistakes that have been made by others. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can just focus on making your own mistakes, and instead of repeating the mistakes of others. And then from there, with again the help of mentorship, you are able to learn faster from those mistakes, identify those mistakes faster, learn from them faster, and rise better and bigger and stronger. So, this really, both as my own personal experience, but also having observed it in the lives and the trajectories of the people that I've had the privilege to have served as a mentor, is one of the reasons that I continue to devote a good chunk of what I do um, to mentorship. And I do have a commitment to amplify the conversation and to invite everyone who agrees or have experienced what I'm sharing, for us to really agree that mentorship is a very sustainable tool to that fosters learning, growth, and legacy.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. So, listening to you talk about that makes me want to ask you, what do you think is the role of mentorship in entrepreneurship? From experience, have you seen situations where an entrepreneur drastically does differently because of the kind of mentorship they're under? Share with us.
So a few years ago, I was having this conversation with some of my colleagues in the VC ecosystem, and we have, and there's data that supports this. A lot of people with great ideas saying that the problem they have is access to funding, access to capital. And we hear this all the time, and people believe that, oh, if only I have money, if only I have someone that could support this idea, this product, this service, oh, I can do wonders with it. And so, in talking to these colleagues of mine, you then find the funding is provided, the capital is provided, but the rate of these ventures that do not make it, it's unprecedented and it keeps rising. So then
Hmm.
you ask the question, is it just really only funding? Is this just really only access to capital? That is the problem, you know. And of course, we're all familiar with the data that a lot of our startups fail within the first 3 to 5 years. But there are even others that have really past the 5 year critical mark, and still at some point, and I'm not discounting market forces, I'm not discounting all the economic forces, but there is fundamentally a very big part of the work in sustaining a business idea, in sustaining a venture, that is done by the founder. And a lot of times, most of these things hinge on your character, they hinge on discipline, they
Mm.
hinge on your ability. to not go for instant gratification,
True.
to get to that delayed gratification, to not jump into the latest trend,
Mm-hmm.
to not be moved by distraction.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have learned is that in the business of building our ventures, it's really easy to get carried away by the noise, by what is in front of us, what it seems like other people are doing. And this is where mentorship then comes to play a very crucial role. A mentor, a good mentor, grounds you. A good mentor reminds you of what is important. A good mentor holds you accountable, because really, it's not just about the money in your hands, it's about what you are able to do with that money.
Mm.
We find that there are founders that do think that when they're given access to capital, some people might consider it as philanthropy, some people might consider it as, just especially when you're approaching it from a grant perspective, but even from an investment perspective. A lot of our founders, and I'm saying this very carefully because I also have witnessed founders who have the wherewithal, to go the right way. But then you find founders who forget that this money that has been given to them, this investment that has been given to them, that they are meant to be stewards, to build on the capital that has been given them, to expand on it. And so character flaws, human flaws, distractions, and even market forces then becomes um, many of the reasons why we then go back and say it has failed. So, with the help of a mentor to help you even see these market forces before they become a problem, you know, um, to help you then dig deep inside of yourself to identify the right approach to navigate those market forces. And when you start getting interesting ideas about a good mentor to say to you, hold on a minute, let's do
Mm-hmm.
this first, let's do
Mm-hmm.
this next, and let's do the other. Even something as simple as an expansion. And I'll give an example. A few years ago, one of the businesses that I mentor, it's a husband and a wife founder, and they were doing really, really well. Growth was happening. The orders were coming in, revenue was off the charts. They were doing really, really well. And then the next question is, let's expand. Let's get into the next cities, and let's get into the next city. Let's do this and let's do this. And we were all excited for them. You know, I I,
Mm-hmm.
I sat down and looked at how far we've come, because I've had the privilege of being their mentor from inception, right? And I said, hold on, why don't we calculate this, consider this, put this in place, beef up this area of structure first before we can adequately, know that we are ready to expand. And I think I can proudly say that caution that we applied, because they listened. Luckily, they listened to me, right? Applying that caution saved them a whole lot of headache. Because a few months after, actually, about 9 months after, there was a shift in the market that could have affected them drastically if they had expanded the way they wanted. And one of the expansion plan was expanding into Warri, a city in Nigeria. And there was an incident that could have vastly negatively affected what they were building. And so I remember one of the calls that we had where they were saying, "Oh, thank you so much for holding us to apply caution. If we had gone into this market at the time we wanted to, it would have been a disaster." We all agreed that it would have been a disaster. So sometimes just having someone, and even sometimes from a neutral perspective, say to you, hold on for a minute before you expand into this market. Can we take this into consideration? And that's part of the role of mentorship. But it could also be the other way around, where a mentor is able to quickly see opportunities that you as a founder you've not been able to see or you might not have seen, and they're able to call you and say, hey, can you tap into this and do this and do this. So it's not just about the money, it's not just about capital, it's not just about access to funding. And it is important, it really is important, to have capital and access to funding. But that's just one part, one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is where mentorship then comes in to ensure that our founders are good steward, that our founders understand discipline, that our founders are, they have the wherewithal and they can assess where the opportunity is, and the ones that they're able to miss, the blind spots that they get, that there is someone else who is looking further that they can see. And I'm just going to round up to say that I have found that mentorship is not just an effective learning tool, it's also a very effective risk management principle. And I would uh, leave it at that for the moment, Dr. King.
Can you see me or hear me, Jane? It's been a very funny period with the network here, and my producer has also not been giving me the right feedback. So, um,
We can see you. I can see you and I can hear you at the moment. Yes.
fantastic, fantastic. So, I've been getting lots of messages from angels, particularly saying, "Solomon, smile. What's going on with you? Why do you have a very straight face and all that?" So, everybody, I'm smiling now. But really, thank you so much for all the insights, Jane. Quick question yet again. What kind of mentors do founders need? What kind of mentors should the angels be to founders? Around the sides of personal branding, around the sides of technical, please throw light into the kind of mentors that our angels can be to the founders.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, the angels themselves can be very effective mentors, especially if based on their experience. Now, when I think of mentors, I do have a framework which all these years working in the sector, but also giving my foray into academia, I tend to do frameworks and benchmarks and all those words that we like to throw around. But I do have a framework that I think helps us to put into perspective, how mentorship works, and it's something that I call the three E's. Every mentor, every good mentor should bring the three E's to whoever they are mentoring. Now, whether you are a founder, whether you are an angel, whether you are, maybe a business leader who is willing to mentor somebody else. And the three E's cover three core areas. The first one is exposure. So you need to have been exposed um, to different worlds, different platforms, different. You need to have the exposure. You need to have lived in the world that the person that you want to mentor is currently trying to navigate. You need to have very, very strong exposure connection to where they are going or where they would like to go. That's the first E, exposure. The second E is experience. So people can be exposed to different ecosystem and just, they might be standers and maybe not actively involved, but also the experience part of it, the things that you have experienced, the things that have happened to you. So it's where you've gone, what you've done. And then the last one is expertise. And that brings in what you have learned from all of this, where you've been, what you have seen, what you have done, what you have learned, and then the skills and the insights that you have been able to extract from your exposures and your experiences. Now, anyone who has the right exposure, the right experiences, and the right expertise can offer tremendous value as a
Mhm.
mentor. Now,
Awesome.
for our angels,
Mm.
it's important to then review your exposure, your experiences, and the expertise that you've been able to gather, you know,
Mhm.
during your trajectory, to then find how it will become beneficial to the growth of the venture um, of our founders. Because ultimately, that is the goal, that will build sustainable businesses, that will build profitable businesses. So, how do I take my experiences, my exposures, my experiences, and the expertise that these have afforded me,
Mhm.
and I'm able to transfer it to someone else in a way that benefits all of us, right? And helps the person to avoid the pitfalls, help the person to not repeat the mistakes that I had gone through during those exposures that I had experienced, and then to help them with what I have learned from it. So that's how I approach mentorship. Now, if you as a founder, sorry, if you as an angel, you 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 figure out that I've been exposed to this, but I'm not sure that my experience and my expertise covers this, then we have people who do. So as an angel, you can be the mentor, but you can also find a better mentor who, for whatever reason, can provide more value,
Indeed.
because this is what
Indeed.
the founder needs. And right now, and sometimes you might have all of it, but you might not have the capacity in terms of time, in terms of space, to be able to take that on. And there are people who actually do. So I don't know if that's answered the question there.
Oh yeah, that's just very apt there. And then as you spoke along and shared around the kind of mentors that a person could be and the verticals to it, I'm thinking in my head, at what point does a mentor become a tormentor? So you move from leadership to micromanaging and all. So what are the boundaries? Where does this start? Where does this stop? When is it too much? When do you find yourself running the business as an angel instead of allowing the founders do their thing?
Thank you for that question. And that was why, as I was saying before, that sometimes we might have all of the prerequisite ease, but we might not have the capacity, and sometimes interests conflict, right? And depending on these interests and some resultant conflict, we might become a little bit um, too intense in the way that we try to guide founders. It is important to understand and differentiate roles. The role of a mentor has to be, and I'm going to be very careful how I say this, because our dear angels were talking about.
If I will bite you, please go ahead. Please go
Our
ahead.
dear angels, we're talking about hard-earned money. We're talking about faith that you have in a particular product, in a particular
Mhm.
founder, you know, and sometimes it's hard to detach, right? But it is very important that mentors work from a place of neutrality. It's very, very important because ultimately,
You know why I'm shaking my head, yeah? The possibility of neutrality when my twenty
the
thousand
money
dollars.
is involved. And that's
I'm
why
listening
I said,
to you. I'm
that's why
listening
I said,
to you.
that's why I said I'm going to be very careful how I say
I'm listening.
this. Right now, why neutrality is very important is that mentorship works only if the person on the receiving end can fully trust you. If the mentee or the protege can fully trust the mentor, that's when mentorship works because that's when they can come with their full self. That's when they can come with the fears. That's when they can be transparent about the flaws, the fears, and that's when you are better able to identify the gaps, to identify, you know, areas of weaknesses and, points, even their fears, even you see the indiscipline, you see all of those things, and then you can better offer guidance and help. Now, if a mentee and a mentor has a relationship where the mentee then comes the way they think they should come, because it's this is the person that's writing the check. So you find people might not be authentic.
Mhm.
They will do what they think will help them get what they want
They
to
want,
get.
yeah.
But also, the same is true of the angel who is now the mentor. The interest is my money. And it becomes a little bit more difficult, not impossible, but just a little bit more difficult to actually really think of your founder as an individual with flaws and weaknesses, and it's harder.
Jane, it's about the money in the end.
I
For the
know.
founder, for the mentor, I mean,
I,
for the founder, for the angel, we're all in this room today because there's some money at stake. So it's about the money in the
I
end.
know. I know. So that's why one thing that I have learned, and in many of the accelerator platforms that I support as a mentor,
Mm.
a lot of the people with the money work with the
Mhm.
mentor and work with the founder. Now, if a founder is able to detach a little bit in a way that helps the mentee actually show up authentically in a way that allows you to become better, right? And I'm going to say that again. If, as an angel, I've put down a few hundreds of thousands of dollars and I'm now mentoring this person or this business where my money is, the priority is my money and it will always be my money. So you find that sometimes what we do is don't tell me about your problems. How do we get this money working? But what I have learned in mentorship is there are issues that until they are addressed and the founders learn to be better and learn to cover the gaps, no matter the pressure that we put on them to make the money work, we get to a point where it gets very difficult and painful for both sides. So for angels, there is the return on investment concern,
Mhm.
That's very important, and we cannot discount that.
You better not discount it,
No,
though. If
no,
not,
no, I would not dare. I would not dare. Not dare. That's the biggest and the most important part of this conversation. How,
thank you, thank you. God bless you.
yes,
God bless you.
aware, fully aware. How do we ensure, all right, get back our return on investment and
Mhm.
as soon as possible, for everyone, right?
Indeed,
To make
indeed.
this business profitable, to make this business sustainable over the long term. And this is why we look at all of the right angles that will contribute to that outcome. And so
True.
what I say is, as an angel, it's important to identify the kind of mentor that your founder needs. You need to match them with the right kind of mentor. If that mentor is you, fantastic. You know
Mhm,
exactly what to do as an angel.
mhm,
If
mhm.
that mentor that they need is not you, you can then match them. And this is where the network comes in. Find
Indeed.
mentors for the right founders. The mentor can then work with both the founder and the angel, to ensure that conversations flow easier, gaps are easier to identify and to, fill
Cover.
in.
Yes.
Exactly. And then
Yes.
outcome is faster. So we match, we map, and then it's also easier to measure, to find out when we started, it was here. Now this is where we are. Now this is where we are. And I see you want to say something.
Prof. Hold on, Prof. Let's do that quietly again. If you say you
We match,
match,
we map,
you map,
and then we measure.
then we measure.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. There's a question from Adeolu Adeomize, um, an accomplished management consultant in our own right. I'm one of our dear angels and board members at the Lagos Angel Network. She says, how does one differentiate between mentoring and managing? Please, before you go on with that question, Jane, I'd like to let everybody know that, hey, we could take questions now for the next couple of minutes. So please let the questions now come in both on YouTube and on LinkedIn. We will take them questions and begin to, Jane here, not we, Jane will begin to provide perspective to this questions. But really amazing conversation so far. Thank you so much, Jane. There's a lot of feedback as we go on,
Mm.
personal messages and on YouTube saying this is such a rich conversation, and I thank you for doing brilliantly so far. So Adeolu's question.
So, I mean, this question covers quite a lot because there's also the question about mentoring, coaching, sponsorship, and management. And I will answer it in a very simple way. Um, at least, and I'm also, again, very careful how, when I talk about mentorship, I'm always very careful because there is the generic view of mentorship, and then there's also what's been my experience over the past decade as I've done this, both giving and receiving mentorship myself. So, what I found is that mentorship basically goes deeper than immediate outcome. Um, I have said, and I stand to be corrected. However, it is my experience, so I can actually own that the right kind of mentorship looks at the core. The right kind of mentorship holds up a mirror for the person who is on the receiving end, but also the one who is offering mentorship, to truly see yourself and to truly define who you want to be, and then to get to the work of becoming that person in any capacity, whether in the business ecosystem, whether in the organizational perspective, whether in academia, in any facet that you want to look at it. what you find is mentorship should help you see yourself, define who you want to be, and then make it happen. Management focuses on very specific goals, organizational objectives, business perspective, and you manage the delivery of that perspective. Mentorship focuses on the people, on the person that will deliver that outcome, that objective, and ensure that this person is doing it in a way that honors whoever is on the receiving end, but also basically that takes into cognition all of the stakeholders involved without losing the core of who you are as an individual. So, because it is the individual that will build the business. One
Mhm.
thing that we have, in management circle, we understand businesses do not build themselves. It is people that build businesses. And what mentorship does is mentorship builds the people that builds the business.
Businesses. Thank you so much, Jane. So, management is managing the business. Mentorship is managing the humans.
That's
Yes, and Olu said that earlier, very much at the beginning. Money doesn't build businesses. People
what
build
we do. Absolutely.
businesses. As we spoke about this earlier, you had mentioned something around measurement. Are there tools or tactics that angels can use to measure the effectiveness or efficacy, as it were, of their mentorship in a founder? Because and then there's a question here that says, does Lagos Angel Network have structured mentorship programs for startups and MSMEs? If yes, how does someone come across a program like this benefit from other structured programs? Um, so what we do at Lagos Angel Network is most times the angels would go into the startups as mentors or advisors on their boards. And because as an organization, the Lagos Angel Network is investor focused,
Yes.
there's so much investor focused primarily and then secondarily founders, because there's so much organizations set out, incubators, accelerators. Everybody is interested in the health of the founders, like the chicken and the egg situation. So everybody is probably protecting the egg, but hey, who's protecting the chicken? And so for us at LAN, at Lagos Angel Network, we're very concerned about the stability, the health, the interest, the engagement, and the general response. And we don't want the apathy of the investors. And so we do everything to provide value for the angels and for the investors. So back to my own question, hoping that I've provided some perspective to Chime's question, is how does an angel investor who, for example, is representing other land members inside of a startup's board, inside of a of just being a mentor, on behalf of other angels to to a startup, how does that angel measure whether they're doing good work or otherwise in the mentoring process?
So one of the things I encourage the mentors in our platform to do is something that is very commonly used in management circles, the SWOT analysis, right? So what I tell them is SWOT the heck out of them at every single point. Whoever
So what the hell out of who?
out of the founders,
Oh, nice.
yeah, out of the founders at every single point, because also that's one of the responsibilities of a mentor to hold them accountable, to hold up the mirror. So at the beginning, we look at your SWOT. like what have you identified as your strengths and your weaknesses? Where do you see the opportunities? Where do you see the threats? Because that's what we are working with, right? So what we want to do is we look at your strength that you've seen. If you also consider the Johari window, the things that you see about yourself, and other people also see it, the things that you see about yourself that other people don't see, right? The things that other people see about you that you don't see, and then
Mhm.
the things that you don't see, nobody else sees them, but they are there. Now, if you take the Johari window and then you take the SWOT analysis, and I'm asking you, what do you see about yourself as your strength, as your weaknesses, as your opportunities, as your strength? What you see, and I see it, and we agree. How do we make the strength work better for you? How do we improve on your weaknesses? How these ones that you've already identified. And after that, I take it to the next level, which is then the things that you see about yourself, but people don't see it, right? So if you take your strength, you feel that you're very strong in this area, but no one has seen it yet. So as your mentor, what I then try to do is to help you to take those things and put them in a way that the necessary people can see it and it will work for you in return. And then we take it to the weaknesses. These are your weaknesses, but people don't really see it. How do we keep it this way until at least you're able to do better? And on to the threats and the opportunities. Now we come to the ones that I, as your mentor, because that's also one of the greatest gifts that a mentor can give to a mentee or a protege. Seeing eyes. This is something that our angels already do so well. You can
Indeed.
at a product,
Indeed.
you can look at a founder, and you have the seeing eyes. You have the capacity to see far ahead, to see, I see the potentials here. And that's because you've looked at their strength, you've looked at the weaknesses, you've seen the opportunities, but you've also seen the threat. And you have an idea of how you can bring this together to ensure that it's profitable. So
Indeed.
we then make the founders to become aware of this, the ones that I see and you don't see. And then we then go on as we're working together to begin to together identify that those ones that we were not aware that this was even a possibility when we started. And then
Mhm.
once it begins to come up, what are the strengths of this? What are the potential gaps? And where can we take this to improve on our outcomes? So that's one way to measure, right? If you have the SWOT from different perspectives, then periodically you SWOT again and compare to the first one that you have. And yes, it is a lot of work, but it also provides you with a lot of data, you know, that can help you. And it is a data-driven world after all. The
Mhm.
only way we can manage this VUCA and Bani world is really by making data-informed decision. So
True.
our gut feeling works, and an experienced angel is able to look and see, I see this, right? But it saves us a whole lot more headache if we look at the data. We identify the patterns and we can trace those patterns to help us make better decisions. So the measuring, and I've used something very basic, which is the SWOT analysis. There are other analytical tools, that we can use to take note of where a founder was at any place, at any particular point, what they've been able to achieve, and we move on to the next. What are the external and internal factors that might be affecting their effectiveness and their results? And what have we done? What has worked? What has not worked? And then you take it on to the next and the next and the next. And that this is, for me, I consider rather simplified way of, measuring the.
Yeah.
And there are other ways we can tweak it up as we go.
Great. I don't. I don't want Joseph, what's going on here? ABAN Congress. So put that up. Yeah, so we could just make a mention of that. Yeah, so the 2025 ABAN Congress regards this event, but the ABAN Congress is upcoming and it's important that we put that up there. Thank you for that interlude. Jane, back to you. As we spoke on, what came my mind is this pressing question. So, founder that does not want to be mentored, what do we do?
We don't give
And
them. No, no.
are there such cases?
It's a very straightforward answer for me. For the angels, don't give them money. It's a risk. It's too much of a risk.
Wait, you are too direct. You're not even nice about it. I thought I was the one who was
No,
who was badder.
no.
So I've had an angel ask me after such a decision recently, saying, "What are the things that you could see in a founder that makes you know that hey, this is trouble brewing. Hey, this is somebody who may not be teachable."
So that's the word. um, and this is why mentorship is a very effective tool, and also, something that will help mentors too. I've had people say, what is that one going to tell me? It's my idea. I know what I'm doing. And I've heard it. And okay, I'm on live. I probably should not say it, but look, I'm going to say it. I was I was so happy to see that business fail.
Ah, Jay, that's extreme, yo.
Because here's the thing, and remember that I said good mentors, okay? I'm emphasizing on good mentors, okay? Because I
Mhm.
also know there are terrible mentors. And sometimes our founders also want to be careful about who they are talking to. So I'm very conscious of all the multiple sides of this coin. Now,
Mm.
good mentors, right? They have seeing eyes. They see further than. So okay, I'm an Igbo woman, right? And we have this very famous expression that says that what an elder sees sitting down.
I
Um,
thought you were going to say it in Igbo language.
I can say it in Igbo.
Yeah, now, give me.
Ihe agadi fụrụ mgbe ọ na-ana, nwatakịrị agaghị afịa ma ọ rigo n'elu osisi, the highest tree in yeah.
Yeah, you have studied to quarrel, but we should clap for you.
No, because this is honestly, this is something, and you know how passionate I am about mentorship. And I've seen this happen over and over and over and over again. Where people, because a founder has a brilliant idea, and no, I will not piss on your idea. I will not disrespect how brilliant your idea is. I will
Mhm.
not negate that the market is ready for you. I agree. I see it. And that's why we're having this conversation. But anybody, and it doesn't matter your position in life. I do leadership development, and I'm saying leadership development as the highest possible level. These are CEOs and global leaders at the highest possible level. And they are signing up for leadership development programs because they know that there's always something to learn. And as
Indeed.
you, who are you again? Because you have this brilliant idea. Who are you again to say, oh no, they don't have anything?
Don't disrespect my founders, though.
Oh,
Don't.
I'm not
Don't,
talking about your
I'm fighting for
founders.
my founders. So,
I'm not talking about your founders because your founders are smart people, because your founders, they just don't want money. They also want to do better. They want to learn. They want to grow. They're interested in growth. Those
yeah.
are the kind of founders that you have. But you see, the other kind of founders, which we don't have on Lagos Angel Network, yeah,
Amen.
we don't have them. Those ones are, they are, they are a risk. You can't grow if you don't open your ears and learn. See, everybody has blind spots. I've continually continued to expose myself to learning. I know where I have been and I know where I'm going. And I know that the only way to get there is to be a lifelong learner. I've mentored mentors and I still have mentors myself. So
Indeed.
I've built ventures. I still have mentors myself. And I
Indeed.
submit myself to mentorship. See, look, honestly, look at, and there's something I always highlight, that the first form of mentorship that all of us have received is from our parents. You
True.
see that stubborn child that will not listen to their parents. I will not listen to everybody, to anybody. Nobody can tell them what to do. You know what we call them? We call them the black sheep of the family. That's what we call them.
Mhm.
They don't listen. They don't. And many of them, they end up in places where nobody should end up. Think about, for those of us that might be Christians, I'm a Christian, so I always draw learnings from the scripture. The
Mhm.
prodigal son. I know, I have. Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money. And I think that explains my answer. Any founder that says, give me money, I don't want mentorship, is a
He's a
prodigal.
prodigal son.
Is a prodigal.
That's
They will go
great.
squander that money, finish
Great.
money, come back
Great.
crying and say, the money has finished. Now, if our angels, they have more money to give, they will bring them. Angels are angels. God is God. So I think I will leave it there.
Yeah, I
No,
like that one. I like that one. Our angels are angels and God is God, so that angels are not God and
no,
they should not try to take his role or
very.
do his job. So an angel should stay an angel by mentoring, guiding, providing the capital that they can,
Yes.
but they should not try they should not try to play God.
Yeah.
Talking about the prodigal son, I have a small material. I think that thing is free. I don't remember. It's money lessons from the prodigal son. I had done something like that several years back, and so now that we're talking about that, we probably would share that material across because what the prodigal son story really teaches was pure money lessons,
Yeah.
start to the end. Even though people have made it a bit religious, but hey, every time I look at that story, that's a pure money story there. So I did a small material on that, and we can make that available
I agree with you. I agree with you.
to our angels. Any other person is, I think, is for sale. I'm not sure what the price of that thing is, but for the angels on this conversation, who would want my thoughts on that? Gladly share with us. Jane, we have run out of time. We still have founders who would need to pitch, and so we might need to run away from here. But this has been a mercurial conversation. Somebody says Omar's analysis of mentoring and measurement is thoughtful and relatable. Adeolu comes back to say mentorship builds the people who build the businesses. We've had quite a reaction from the audience, and this has really been enjoyable. I'd like to seriously thank you. And we would have a lot more conversations around mentorship and working with Global Mentor Bridge. But for the next 1 minute, last words to our angels and the founders on this call.
So, for our angels, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for the wonderful job that you're doing seeing far beyond just the product and investing. It's a lot of faith, it's a lot of hope in this and in what the founders present. To the founders, I will also say kudos to you on creating those brilliant products, those doing the work, building and the resilience, the hard work that you've put into what depending on the market where you are, socioeconomic landscape is not smiling. So, to all the founders, congratulations. But also, congratulations to not just the angels, but also the network. Everybody does their part. And at the end of the day, we all benefit. Now, to the founders, mentorship must serve you. It must serve you, it would help you, it would guide you. If you feel it's not, that's a source of concern. And that should be addressed respectfully as you demand for the right kind of mentorship that will serve you to get the outcome that you want. Now,
Indeed.
angels, it's also important that we understand that exposure, experience, and expertise, if we're able to add that to the capital that you've provided, those are what will help our founders to quickly get to those returns on investment. So, as an angel, it might come from you. And if you think you do not have the capacity, time, or whatever else resources to provide the right kind of mentorship, you can also help them find the right kind of mentorship. But the founders must be able to benefit, and invariably, all of us in the ecosystem will benefit.
Thank you so much, Jane Oma, management consultant extraordinaire. I hear you're with the European Central Bank now. I know you didn't want me to mention that, but a big woman is a big woman. And thank you for all the work at Global Mentor Bridge. And like we mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot more collaboration between the Lagos Angel Network and Global Mentor Bridge so that we can provide more value to the founder and even the angel community. Like you said, even mentors still need mentorship, and so there's a lot more work coming. We thank you so much for your time, and beyond the time, the expertise, passion, and depth with which you have delivered is unquantifiable. Thank you. I will see you at the back of the studio. Thank you so much.
Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, Jane, Omar, can we clap for her again and say hooray and au revoir and bye bye? All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for still being with us. In the next couple of minutes, we would have three of some of the more interesting startups that we have encountered in the last couple of weeks. And they're presenting to us in no particular order, and they will be sharing with us briefly their business ideas and what they are doing, the problems they're solving, and more importantly, why they think that the angels on this call should be supporting their businesses with experience, expertise, and exposure. Did I get it? And of course, the necessary financial capital that there is. And so, without much ado, but before we go into that, there's a question that someone asked and is in line with what's going on now is how does one reach the Lagos Angel Network as a founder? How does one reach the Lagos Angel Network investors, service requirements from a startup? So on the Lagos Angel Network website, www.lagosangelnetwork.net, there's a part of the site that is a menu for founders. You fill in your form and put in the details that is asked of you, and certainly someone from the ventures team would reach you, and conversations can be ongoing. We're open to any kind of founders, just reach us, and we would reach you back to see if we can work together. LAN is sector agnostic, so we don't invest in a specific sector. We're open to all sectors. And yeah, interestingly, we do MSMEs too if they fit our thesis and what we're looking at. And so, yes, we invite the founders all across to come to us with the best business ideas that there are. Please don't bring all those things. I've seen some things like, let me not even start. So please, just come through, come through with all the brilliant ideas that you have. We'll find the ones that we can work with, and certainly work with you. Now, we would like to now go into the pitches for today. And can you bring Esther to the screen? Let me see her face. There, angels. Yeah, her name is Esther. She has a brilliant smile, including, and she leads a brilliant business, and she's going to tell us all about it and why we should be supporting her. So I'm going to get out of your face now, and Esther will take the floor and share with us. What's your business called again?
Talent Code Africa. Good
TC
afternoon.
Talent Code Africa. So Esther from Talent Code Africa will be sharing with us about her business. I'm out.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Esther Anama, and I'm the founder of Talent Code Africa. Talent Code Africa is an AI powered gamified learning platform built to upskill young learners, usually between the ages 6 to 18, in robotics, AI, mechatronics, and embedded system. We are solving two major problems. We are bridging the tech education skill gap with the end goal of curbing across Africa. There is a huge market opportunity for us as we are targeting 120 million young learners across Nigeria and West Africa. As Nigeria alone has over 28,000 private schools, and we're looking to target between 20 to 30% of that number, which is about 8,000 private schools across Nigeria. Still on on the market opportunity, the global edtech market size is a $334.2 billion market. The African edtech market size is a $3.4 billion market, expected to reach $7.7 billion by 2033. Our traction, our business model is also very impressive. We partner with schools, and students pay an average of $10 to $15 termly. And usually we target schools that have between 300 to 1,000 students in population. Our traction is impressive. We've grown our learners from 2,000 to 4,000 plus learners in 6 months. We've grown our monthly recurring revenue from $2,000 to $10,000 in 6 months, demonstrating strong traction and huge market demand. In the last 6 months, we've also scaled from one state, which is Lagos, to two other states, which is Ibadan and Abuja. How are we different from our competitors? Our major competitors are Nigenius, New Horizon, Brainiac, and EduPoint. Number one is we sign long-term partnerships, usually between 3 to 5 years, demonstrating sustained growth over a long period of time. We integrate our curriculum into the school's existing curriculum, unlike our competitors that treat it as an optional model or an elective, restricting them to the number of students they can possibly obtain or sign on in a particular school. We integrate gamification into learning, which has proven to significantly improve student engagement, retention, and participation. We're also very heavy on international competitions like the World Robot Olympiad, WRO, First Lego League as well. And it shows that, now is the time because there's a huge demand for this. I'm a two-time founder with over 7 years of solid experience across finance, education technology, and health technology. I have previously co-founded a health tech startup serving over 10 million patients across Africa. I am now building Talent Code Africa with my co-founder and CTO, Tosin, backed by an aggressive team with a collective experience of over 25 years across finance, growth and business development, STEM operations, communications, and marketing. Before we go to the last slide, I would just like to speak on why really this is the time. Now is the time because schools are looking to integrate technology into their curriculum, but they don't have access to standard curriculums and certified instructors. Ivy League universities are also prioritizing students that have enrolled in programs such as this. I have an instructor that has trained a student that was just admitted into MIT and another one into Yale. So honestly, there's an urgent demand for this, and so now is the time. We are raising 100K in pre-seed, 25% will be used for marketing and user acquisition, 35% will be used for operational costs, and 40% will be used for product development. We also want to further monetize our schools by customizing our digital workbooks, building our digital STEM labs as well. We'd like to welcome you on this journey as we revolutionize tech education across Africa. Thank you.
Great. We're hoping that the questions will start coming through, but please leave Esther on the screen. Leave her with me on the screen. Uh, so I'm a bit curious. Why did you haven't done the first one? Do the second one? Why did you decide to come on this journey?
I am passionate about impact and impact driven solutions. I had built Primed from ground up. We made so much impact, onboarded over 50 hospitals, across Nigeria, and impacting the lives of over 10 million patients as well. So I paid my dues. I made a lot of impact, and I saw a huge gap in education, tech education. I started to come on this as well, out of passion, most importantly.
I'm a bit concerned. EdTech has not done well generally. Um, the jury is out on whether Nigeria is ready for the EdTech revolution. What do you think about that?
I think that's a very good question, but I'd also say that you still have very notable edtech companies that are doing really well. You have the likes of ULesson, you have the likes of Edvest. Edvest has done really well, onboarded over 2,000 schools. They've moved to Ghana, they've moved to West Africa, and now they're moving to the US. So I would say that having a good understanding of the market that you're operating in as a founder is very important. This is also one of our competitive, advantages. We have a very good understanding of the market. We have very good relationships. We key into the right networks. It's a closed sector. Everybody knows somebody. And there are so many beautiful opportunities you can leverage on, including partnerships as well. Everybody wants to isolate themselves and, do things independently. But I think the only way to grow really is look within. You have people that have access to 2,000 schools, up to 3,000, 4,000 schools, and students. So partner with them and you can do great things. You can scale a lot faster. And that's basically what our strategy is at Talent Code Africa. So the growth that we've even achieved till this point basically has been that we've been very strategic with our decisions. We've been very strategic with the kind of partnerships. We partnered with Wildbee Technologies as well. They've been in the market for a decade. We're leveraging on those relationships to scale a lot faster. And within a year, we've achieved all that we've achieved, the kind of traction that we have. So I believe there's hope. For this market, I believe there's a lot of hope. It's a huge market. It's a very huge market. Thank you.
One more question, maybe one or two more questions. But again, before I go into the questions, I want to quickly mention that there's usually a deep dive session with the angels. Now, that can be a public meeting. This is open, and that's why the questions being asked are a bit generic. I also understand that it's also the reason why we don't have so many questions coming in from the angels, because you are going to come into the coven and we will dream you, but you will come out of it brilliant and better, and of course with some money. I can assure you. So making it this far is good. Anyways, making it this far is a good thing. Being in the faces of the angels is also something really good. I wanted to check with you. You have someone who handles your finances? Who's in
At the
finance
moment, we do not in house, but it's sort of an outsourced service at the moment.
function? Great. All right. So, one final word to the angels before we let you go, Esther.
If you don't invest in us, then you're missing out. Well, my experience as a two-time founder positions me well to lead Talent Code Africa and scale beyond the shores of Nigeria. The vision is very broad, it's very big. And like I mentioned during my pitch, I am backed by an aggressive team, very passionate, well experienced in the industry. And so we're positioned for greatness. We've signed on a lot of high profile schools, so you can walk in and ask about Talent Code Africa. We call it TCA. And so far, we've had about 96% in terms of client retention. They usually do not drop us. And so that's a very good sign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther. This was brilliantly done. See you around as we take the conversations further. Joseph, can you bring the next gentleman to join me up here? They're angels. I know you're watching. And there is there is a boy with his scattered head right here, but somebody who does some brilliant work that I've observed in the last number of weeks, and I thought it was important to showcase what they're doing at Storyport. Um, the other day, I turned on my phone and I got this notification saying, "Oh, I had made 500 naira on Storyport." I'm like, "Yo, was that 500 naira or 50 naira?" I'm like, "Is this boy playing with me?" How much is it?
50 naira. It's small, very
I
small.
can't making 50 naira. I cannot even try and do $50. Anyway, there, angels. On the call with me today is James Nelson, and he's the lead at Storypod, and he's going to be telling us what they're building and why he thinks that he should get the backing of you, my dear angels.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. And my name is James. I'm one of the co-founders of Storyport. I have a background in product management, product development over the last roughly 10 years, pretty much working in companies across board, building apps and platforms as well. I want to find out if my screen being shared. Okay, cool. So if my screen is being shared, I'll take you down to our presentation. So, Storypod is basically a platform that very easy. It feels like social media. The goal is to read like social media, like you're on Instagram or one of those places, because I feel like this generation, brother, we date as well. We don't read as much, but we actually we check a lot of snaps and Insta story, WhatsApp story, and LinkedIn as well. People write a lot on LinkedIn, read on LinkedIn. It's easier. That's how we read social media style. And the goal for us to say, hey, how can we take that ideology of how people read in this new age, and then that way you can sneak in write-ups for them. And within we launched sometimes last year, and we've seen tremendous growth as well, which I'll talk about. Essentially, the Storypod brings the social media elements of interaction and brings sort of book distribution, so that way you can smuggle an article to somebody in story style. Again, it's discoverability and monetization together. So it helps content creators and writers and storytellers, publishing houses, actually putting their work in story style, and also discoverability, and people can actually read social media style. So again, market size, the opportunity is huge. Nigeria has the entire Twitter is Nigerian Twitter is 6 to 7 million on Twitter, and that means that and Storyport currently has 65,000 users, and we're actively racing to a million. So by the time we get to a million, it means almost 1 in 6 people actually on Twitter we will almost have Storyport. The market is really huge. Instagram made 70 billion last year. So there's social media apps there. But I think the important thing is Africa doesn't have its own. And again, you see a lot of movement in people trying to de-risk and decentralize Elon of Twitter and Zook of Meta, right? Platforms are coming up, and it's important that Africa, has its own platform. But we are focused on reading. So the market is really huge. The app is very social media friendly. It feels just like any other platform, like WhatsApp status, but you can lock it. When you lock it, you can't share your story, you can't screenshot it. Now you can actually tip people, so people receive tips on the app from 50 naira, 100 naira to people fund their wallet to read stories and then unlock stories. We've had an incredible, the app is really good. People use it to write short stories, short writings, and it helps them monetize their work. So again, this is what the app looks like, and then there's instant payout. You can get the money immediately. It's very simple to use. Again, we focus on writers, storytellers. We want that market to grow. We actually want writers to actually be as rich as um, YouTubers. How we make money from the ads. Predominantly, our revenue comes from the ads. Paid content, we do a 70-30 revenue share. When you lock a story, when anybody, let's say you lock a story for 100 naira, Storyport takes 30, and we give the writer 70. They don't even know that we take 30%. But yes, we take 30% off tips. And also because you can tip on the platform, so we take from tips and we also take from paid content. But the business is actually in the ads, because if you look at Instagram, the ads you see in between the stories, people can just go there, put their ads and run it for 30 days, 1 year, and just be casually running. So imagine like 1,000 people are putting ads and they're putting it at a certain price per day, you times that and it's growing essentially. And then over time, we plan to add subscriptions because we have this thing that we call Storyport Originals, where we have original writing. Think about it like Netflix. So we see Storyport as that platform where a book is coming out. Hey, my book is going to be available on Storyport. It's coming out this Friday, and then eight episodes are coming out. So we have that lineup. Just think about Netflix, what Netflix has done for movies and streaming service. Essentially, what Storyport is really doing for storytelling writing. We want to bring back that joy and that social media style of just tap, 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 tap. Oh, I like this story. I don't like this story. Swipe to the next one. Stuff like that. Such an incredible experience. In terms of our attraction, we're talking to two publishing houses, Narrative Landscape and Farafina Books, trying to get them to bring all their existing work and all their existing publishers. It's a huge remaro because some of their publishing, their global publishers that they have all like Chimamanda now they have to talk to their own distribution channel globally as well. So yeah, we're getting publishing houses on board is something that we have on the side that we're doing as well. Again, we've unlocked our revenue model from ads in terms of we do ads at the moment, and also 70-30 revenue share. And then there are other kind of ads formats that we're going to be rolling out. We have 65,000 users, and we keep active users as high as 60%, because everybody that downloads Storyport are pretty much interested in it. We don't use it to say, oh, come to this event, download Storyport, and then you get access to this event. No, we focus on original writers that want to share story. We have so much personal stories of writers saying, "Hey, I'm making so much money on Storyport," and I explain. I'll throw more light on that as well. Engagement rate has been really high. We have over 2 million views in terms of read counts of stories on Storyport. So, again, we're doing so much in that aspect. We are also running an incredible team. Myself and my co-founders, we're all hands-on. Caleb does the infrastructure and the admin part of, in terms of infrastructure, DevOps parts, Prince builds the core, API and everything. We're able to sustain our growth in terms of, what we do is based on the fact that everybody's hands-on. I'm being a product manager across board for for as long. I built so many platforms behind there. So all of us are hands-on. Again, our mission is to say we want a writer to stand beside a YouTuber to say I make $1 million from writing on Storyport as well. Again, we see global again, this movement really cascades the entire Africa. We see Amazon, people that even put books on Amazon, the rest of them coming to actually put their book on Storyport, because Storyport is where you can think about how Instagram and TikTok and the rest of them are doing. And that's what we're trying to do, the same thing for writers. It's not like we need 3 billion users, basically. It's not 3 billion people that read, again, watch video. Well, I mean, imagine a fraction of that on reading, and it's such a huge deal. And again, the platform empowers people. Thank you. We look forward to having you guys on board, taking questions. Yes. And thank you.
Interesting thing you're doing with Storyport. Why is Yeah, please put him up there. Thank you for the work that you're doing at Storyport. There's an image of you in public talking with Chimamanda. What was the conversation about?
Yes, so it was about that. It was about, yeah, that was the first time, we met her at the book writing. She, the book thing, and she saw Storyport and she loved it. She was like, she's like, we need to. So she introduced me to the executive director of Narrative Landscape, and we've been in talks. Although now they're a bit really busy with the book round that's happening, because she's just doing that book way for Nigeria. So yes, she got to sit and she made that introduction, and we've been in talks with them. We started signing agreements on formatting and exchange of, that conversation has been ongoing. So that's what the conversation was about. It was really brilliant. It was bold. I took an opportunity to say, hey, this app can, because she used to write on Okada books before. On Okada books shut down. One of the reasons why it shut down was the model was not great and the market was not ready as well. In terms of payments were slow, the app technology was slow, but most importantly, they didn't have this ad model that we have. You don't make money from 70/30 from book sales. It won't work. It's the model is in the ads. That's where we have different ad formats. So we have ads in between story. We have banner ads as well. We have the full pop-up ads. Those ones are super expensive. We plan to charge them as high as 2 million a day. Right. That's the one that anybody that opens the app, the pop-up comes up, they have to dismiss it. So those are really revenue streams that Okada Books didn't have. And I mean, the founder of Okada Books is saying Storyport, and it was really emotional. It was even like, this is really good. So yes, we think that we have an opportunity.
But do
Yes.
you do you do you have the guy from Okada Books on your team, maybe as an advisor or something?
Oh yes, yes. I mean, he's had sessions with me. We've talked about Storyport from since last year, and at some point I was like, why not just give me Okada Books, like, so that we can take it over? And he told me why there are no more, and we have a good relationship in terms of I update him from time to time. He's like, James, I'm done with startup. I wish you good luck. I'm in America now. I don't want to do anything startup again. But there's a personal reason that he told me why, which I can't disclose as well. But he's definitely
Absolutely.
someone that I look up to, and every single time I'm like, hey boss, this is
So
where we are.
he couldn't pull off Okada Books. Why do you think you'll be able to pull off Storyport?
Thank you. So yes, fun fact, they had 400,000 users and like 40,000 catalog of 40,000 books, wait, which is really good. Now I look at the model, I miss that. Like I said, the reason why he told me why they failed, right? But they were not making so much in revenue, and that's why I've looked at it. That model of just getting of monetizing use book sales. So even if you sell your book for 500 naira and I take 30 naira, or I take 100 naira out of it, how many 100 naira can I take that will give me a million naira? That'll give me a million naira or $1 million. That's one thing that, I mean, this is when they engage us, they're like, how many 30 naira can I make to give me $1 million? But that's not the model. The model is in the ads. Their app did not have ads. They had ads like, and when you talk about for ad business, the idea of ad business is people should just go there and do their ads themselves. It's not a That's why when you see apps like Child Deck doing ads. I mean, sorry, I said that, but the reason is that for ad model to work, okay, actually, that's our secret sauce. I won't tell you, but ad model is the model is in the ads basically, because if you simulate our user base and what we plan to get from ads, and ads is all cash for us, you see that, oh, this makes so much sense. I mean, take for instance, if I'm even doing 2,000 naira per day for ads, and I have 20 people, that's 200 times it by 30 days, month on month. What's our cost in Storyport? It's basically Azure, which we have 150K in Azure credits, and that's and main marketing costs. So I think it's an incredible model. And don't forget that. Okay, I'll say that in my closing speech. But yes,
So it's time for that closing speech.
now
We need to close and get out.
okay, awesome. So I mean, I feel like now we're such, as the movement is getting, we're really scaling and we're really growing fast. I mean, in a couple of 2-3 years, elections are coming by. Ads are going to be manifestos are going to be flying around. Storypoint is the only platform that has like that amount of elite social media Nigerians, where conversations can happen, manifestos can be read and things. So we're at this very strategic point, and I think that every angel should have a piece of the pie. This is an incredible team that is really brilliant, tech focused. We have the skill, we have everything. I think it's important that they join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, fantastic. Shola, one of our dear angels just asked the question. It says, why are you so sure of revenue from ads? Why should I put my ads on your platform instead of other platforms that have a huge subscriber base?
Thank you, Mr.
You
Shola.
have,
So
you have 1 minute to answer that question because we're out of
yes,
time.
yes. Yeah, why Storyport? Again, Storyport is an elite social media. Even we run ads on this platform, and you see that, you know, engagement with people that actually read stuff it depends on the product you're selling. So I mean, you can advertise on those platforms, yes. But again, when you are running ads, you think about where do I want to target users. There are certain products that if you're by the way, if you advertise on Twitter, downloads don't come from Twitter. But guess what? On Twitter, it's a conversation, it's an audience kind of thing. So we think that based on the product, you don't want to come to Storyport and sell bags and shoes. You want to come to Storyport and sell trainings, mentorship programs. There's certain kind of product that you know that okay, within this demographic that we have even across Africa, it would we have that value proposition for Storyport, yes, on the kind of elite right users based on the product yourself.
Great. I suspect that we would have angels who would pull you into the deep dive at LAN, and then you can get further conversations and maybe deeper engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, James from Storyport. Let's thank him daily. Producer, where is my hand clap for James now? What kind of producer is this that I've gone to sleep? All right, and to take us to home stretch today on this very brilliant edition of Lunch and Learn and Deal Share, we will take the guys from Hizo Africa. A couple of weeks back, I was on a meeting with the guys from the Delta Business Angel Network, and this brilliant idea came by, and I said, "Oh, it'd be good for us to talk some more." So today at the network Lunch and Learn in August, we have joining us from Hizo Africa. I'm not sure which of the guys is coming on now, Emmanuel or who? Okay, so Victor himself is coming through.
Yeah.
You get KW, you go shop, but not be now. Now when I come up for your mind,
I'm so sorry, sir. Actually, my village people, they are trying their best,
no, they
but
will not reach you.
Jesus is better.
They will
Because
not.
the lights, for this story, the light has been going on and off in my office space. I even had to go get the ring lights. But
Paddy, get
oh
to
wow.
it quickly.
Yeah,
We have just 4 minutes and we need to run. So
yeah,
go
good
into
afternoon,
Hizo.
guys.
Talk to the people about Hizo.
Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chedu Victor, the Chief Executive Officer of ISO Technology Limited. Um, at ISO, we built a Pan-African neobank, whose purpose is to allow Africans to spend in their own local currency when they move around Africa, right? A few years ago, myself and some of my colleagues, we were outside Nigeria for a tech event, and it was difficult for us moving around, getting stuff, and not because we didn't have liquid money with us, right? But because there was no access to local currency, right? So ISO is born out of a personal pain point of the top people involved, right? Currently, we are piloting from Nigeria. We are allowing Nigerians to spend their naira in over 20 African countries. It's a simple yet effective solution we built. We're giving you a single wallet, right? A single Naira wallet, top up with Naira, and you can send or spend in all of the 21 African countries we currently support, right? Let me share this. Yes, so looking at the intra-African trade, right? We are looking at a market size of over 208 billion, right? And excuse me, am I still audible? Hello? 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 Oh, okay, okay, okay. Right. So I was saying, looking at the intra-African trade, um, we have a total market size of about $208 billion, right? This is the amount of money that was recorded moving around Africa as at last year, right? But then how does this money move? How does this money move around Africa, right? Every other day, there's need for a Nigerian to do business in Ghana. There's need for Ghanaians to do business in Ivory Coast, right? Hizo is bridging this gap, right? Currently, we have a user base of um, close to 7,000 people, right? And we're transacting over $500,000 in volume monthly, right? In June, 2 months back, we raised a small amount of $100,000 to help us push user acquisition and market expansion. Right, we're looking further for mentorship beyond money, right? Because looking into the market, we've seen that partnership is everything. So we're looking for mentors who can push us to partnerships, beneficial partnerships, so Hizo as a company, right? And we're also looking for funding. We're also looking for money to expand, increase our B2C model, but our roadmap also includes a B2B model, which we intend to plug into by the second quarter of 2026. Yeah,
Thank you so much for sharing, even though brief. Um,
guys, my network is good. I know.
not a problem. I suspect that we would have time for further conversations.
Yeah,
I don't have any questions for you, but I'm hoping that I get the permission of the angels to pull you in and let's have a deeper conversation with what's going on at Hizo. I think that it's important that Africans should be able to spend within Africa amongst ourselves without the hassle. And I think Hizo is a brilliant solution for that. Um, so we will be in touch certainly, and I think that what you're building is really fantastic. But till then, I'll release you now, and then we will talk some
yeah.
more
Yeah, but
afterwards.
just before I go, I'd like to add that currently, like I said, we're piloting from Nigeria, right?
Mhm.
Allowing Nigerians to spend Naira in all of the countries we support. Our intention is to replicate this solution across Africa. So a Ghanaian can spend their Ghanaian cedis when they move outside Ghana. A South African can spend in their own currency when they move outside South Africa, right? And we are going all out with this solution. We're not just allowing you to spend, we're also introducing value added services. We want you to be able to buy data when you move from your country to the next country, because, of course, there's things for you to get other services, utilities, right? So we're bringing value added services to what we currently offer: data services, utility, and all of that. eSIM.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Victor. And
Yes, Victor.
we will be in touch. The guys from Venture would reach you, and then we will take the conversation up. But hey, Victor is leaving us. Joseph, tell him bye bye in the way that I would want. Talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone. This has been a fantastic Lunch and Learn and Deal Share Day. We like to thank all our angels, all founders, and every of our friends and guests who have joined us across the platforms. Thank you all for being a part of this fantastic conversation. We're grateful, we're honored that you've joined us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, of course, we're glad that you have taken lessons and notes as regards how mentorship can act as a lever, a strategic lever for angel portfolio management so that angels can serve their founders better and serve themselves better as they continue using the elements of their exposure, their experiences to be able to help founders and build better businesses, make sure that entrepreneurship goes on in Africa. My name is Solomon, and I'm the lead at Lagos Angel Network, the chief errand boy, like I like to call myself. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve in the capacity that I am. The Lagos Angel Network is open to angel investors or people who want to be angels, and we provide guidance, funding, leadership, mentorship, and general support, access to capital, access to markets to befitting businesses and founders who we find solving incredible and impactful businesses. So we'll come your way at the next Launch and Learn sometime next month in September. Do not forget, as an angel, please, to register for the ABAN Congress. We will put the links on our group for those of us who are joining us. For those of us who are already in the group, and then those of us who are joining us will be finding that information. ABAN Congress is 17 and 18. We already sent out calendar invites, but more information about this will be coming. This has been an amazing time. We thank you all. Let's have a brilliant afternoon. Somebody asked about lunch. I hope you got something to eat. If you've not eaten, go and look for the food now. Over. We're out.